The alarms had been silent for 300 years aboard the Valoran command station. The massive orbital fortress hung in the darkness of space like a sleeping giant. Its shields were legendary. Its weapons could crack planets. The Valoran Empire had built it to be impossible to breach. They believed no force in the galaxy could touch them there. They were wrong. Commander Zeth stood in the central control room when the first alarm finally screamed to life. His 4 eyes blinked in confusion. The sound was so unfamiliar that most of the crew did not even recognize what it meant. Young officers looked at each other with puzzled expressions. The older ones felt their blood turn cold. "What is happening?" Zeth demanded. A technician's hands trembled over his console. "Commander, we have intruders. Multiple heat signatures in Section 7. Impossible," Zeth whispered. "Our shields are at full power. No ship approached us. No shuttle docked." "How did they get inside?" The answer came through the security feeds. Zeth watched in horror as figures moved through the corridors of his station. They were humans. 12 of them. They wore black armor that seemed to drink in the light around them. They moved like shadows, like ghosts, like death itself walking through his halls. The humans had done something no one thought possible. They had launched themselves through space in nothing but their suits. They had drifted for 18 hours in the cold void, appearing on no sensors, triggering no alarms. They had cut through the station's hull with plasma torches while the Valoran crew slept peacefully in their beds. By the time anyone noticed, the humans were already inside. Zeth watched the security footage with growing terror. His guards rushed to intercept the intruders. The first squad of 20 Valoran soldiers turned a corner and opened fire. The humans did not run. They did not hide. They simply moved. One of them threw something small and round. It bounced twice on the metal floor. Then everything went white. When the flash cleared, the Valoran soldiers were on the ground. Some were unconscious. Some would never wake up again. The humans stepped over their bodies and continued forward. They had not even slowed down. "Send everything we have," Zeth ordered. "All security teams, all combat drones. Stop them." But stopping humans was not as easy as the commander hoped. The 12 soldiers fought their way through the station like a force of nature. They communicated without speaking, their movements perfectly coordinated through signals in their helmets. When one human needed cover, another provided it without being asked. When an enemy appeared, multiple weapons found it at the same moment. They fought as one creature with 24 arms and 12 minds that thought as a single brain. Sergeant Marcus Kane led the team. He was 42 years old. He had been fighting since he was 19. He had seen friends die on a dozen different worlds. He had buried soldiers under alien suns and wept over graves that would never be visited again. But today, he felt no sadness. Today, he felt only focus. Today, he had a mission. The Valoran Empire had taken something from humanity. 3 months ago, they had captured a colony ship carrying 30,000 civilians. Men, women, and children who had only wanted to find a new home among the stars. The Valorans had taken them as prisoners. They had put them in camps. They had treated them like animals. Now humanity had come to deliver a message. Marcus and his team reached the main power core of the station. The Valoran defenders fought desperately to stop them. Energy bolts filled the air like deadly rain. But the humans pushed forward through it all. They planted charges on the core's cooling systems. They set timers. They fought their way back out while the station's crew realized what was about to happen. The explosion did not destroy the station. That was not the plan. The explosion disabled the shields. The explosion killed the weapons. The explosion left the mighty Valoran command station floating helplessly in space, blind and defenseless. And that was when the real attack began. Grand Admiral Veleth commanded the Imperial response fleet from his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. When he received word that the command station had been attacked, he gathered every ship within range. 47 warships formed up around him, battle cruisers with guns that could level cities, carriers filled with fighter craft, destroyers fast enough to chase down any prey. This was the pride of the Valoran Empire. This was the fist that had crushed 100 civilizations. Veleth smiled as his fleet jumped through hyperspace towards a station. The humans had been bold, he admitted. But boldness without strength was just stupidity. His fleet would arrive at the station, rescue the surviving crew, and then hunt down whatever human ships had dared to approach Valoran territory. He would burn their worlds as punishment. He would teach them the price of defying the Empire. The fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. Veleth looked at the tactical display and saw the damaged station ahead. He also saw something else. A human fleet was waiting for them. Now, Veleth realized with a chill. The humans had been waiting for him. Admiral Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UNS Vengeance and watched the Valoran ships appear on her screens. She counted them carefully. 47 enemy vessels against her 23. The numbers were against her. The Valoran ships were larger. Their weapons were more powerful. Any sane commander would retreat. Sarah Chen was not planning to retreat. All ships, she said calmly into her communicator. Execute Battle Plan Omega. Show them what humanity can do. The battle began with fire and fury. The Valoran fleet advanced in their traditional formation, a wedge designed to concentrate their firepower on a single point. They expected the humans to scatter. They expected fear. They expected the easy victory they had enjoyed against so many other species. What they got was something very different. The human ships did not scatter. They did not run. Instead, they split into 4 groups and attacked from different angles at the same time. Human vessels were smaller than Valoran warships, but they were faster, much faster. They danced around the slower enemy craft like wolves circling a herd of cattle. The Valoran commanders tried to adjust. They ordered their ships to turn, to track the swift human vessels. But every time they focused on one group, another would strike from behind. Human missiles slammed into their hulls. Human railguns punched through their armor. Human pilots flew with a kind of reckless courage that the Valorans had never seen before. Captain James Morrison piloted his destroyer, the Swift Justice, directly at a Valoran battle cruiser 10 times his size. His crew thought he was insane. Maybe he was. But Morrison had lost his brother on that colony ship. He had lost his best friend. He had lost his reason to be careful. The Swift Justice dove under the battle cruiser's main guns, too close for the big weapons to track. Morrison's gunners fired everything they had into the enemy ship's engines. The battle cruiser shuddered. Its propulsion failed. It drifted out of formation, helpless and bleeding fire into space. All across the battlefield, similar stories played out. Human ships took hits that should have destroyed them, but kept fighting. Human crews performed repairs under fire that should have been impossible. Human captains made decisions in seconds that would have taken Valoran commanders hours to consider. Grand Admiral Veleth watched his fleet fall apart around him. He could not understand what was happening. His ships were bigger. His guns were stronger. His empire had conquered the galaxy for 10,000 years. How could these small, fragile humans be winning? He did not understand that size was not everything. He did not understand that power was not just about weapons. He did not understand that humans had something the Valorans had lost long ago. Humans had something to fight for. Every human soldier in that battle knew about the 30,000 prisoners. They knew about the children crying for their parents in alien cells. They knew about the old people dying in camps without medicine. They knew about the young people who had dreamed of new worlds and found only chains. That knowledge made them fight harder. That knowledge made them refuse to die. That knowledge turned ordinary men and women into warriors that no empire could defeat. Admiral Chun watched the tactical display as the Valoran formation collapsed. Enemy ships tried to retreat, but her faster vessels cut them off. Enemy ships tried to surrender, but she had not come here to take prisoners. She had come to send a message. The message was simple. Hurt humanity, and humanity would hurt you back. Take our people, and we would come for them. Attack our homes, and we would burn yours to ash. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, 43 Valoran warships drifted dead in space. Their crews had either died in the fighting or escaped in life pods. 4 Valoran ships managed to jump away. Chun let them go. She wanted survivors. She wanted them to go home and tell their emperor what had happened here. The human fleet had lost 6 ships. Hundreds of good people had died. Chun felt the weight of those losses pressing on her heart. But she also felt something else, pride. Her people had faced an enemy that should have destroyed them, and they had won. Back on the damaged command station, Sergeant Marcus Kane and his surviving team members waited for pickup. 8 of the 12 Commandos had made it. 4 had given their lives getting the job done. Their bodies had been recovered. They would be taken home and buried with honors. Marcus stood at a viewport and watched the wreckage of the Valoran fleet drift by. Twisted metal that had once been mighty warships. Floating debris that had once been symbols of an arrogant empire. He felt no joy in the destruction. He felt only tired. But he also felt hope. The rescue ships were already on their way to the prison camps. The 30,000 civilians would be freed. They would go home to their families. Children would see their parents again. Old friends would embrace and weep together. That was worth fighting for. That was worth dying for. Admiral Chun's message reached Earth 3 days later. The celebrations lasted for weeks. People danced in the streets. They cheered for the soldiers who had risked everything. They mourned the ones who had not come back. They looked up at the stars and felt something that humanity had not felt in a long time. They felt like the galaxy should fear them. The Valoran Emperor received the news of his defeat in his throne room. His advisors waited for him to rage, to demand revenge, to order new fleets to crush the humans. Instead, he sat in silence for a long time. Then he spoke quietly. "Perhaps," the Emperor said, "we should not have touched their people." It was the first wise thing a Valoran ruler had said in 10,000 years. Far away, on a small blue planet called Earth, children played in parks and people went to work, and life continued as it always had. Most of them would never know how close they had come to war. Most of them would never understand what their soldiers had done to protect them. But somewhere in the darkness between stars, legends were being born. Stories of humans who crossed the void in nothing but suits. Stories of ships that fought like demons against impossible odds. Stories of a species that would travel across the galaxy to save their own. The universe was a vast and dangerous place. It was full of empires and monsters and things that wished humanity harm. But after that day, after the Commandos and the fleet and the message written in fire and blood, something had changed. The universe had learned to be careful. Humans protected their own. And anyone who forgot that lesson would learn it again the hard way.